All right. Y'all ready? For some freedom loving, country living, self-reliant Americans in action. Rob and Sherry know just what you're looking for. They got cooking, building, installation, and so much more. He'll be coming down the mountain, won't he? This fella ain't no phony. You can know what he knows, one video at a time. RangerRob, country living. RangerRob, country living. RangerRob, country living. RangerRob, country living.
Well, hello everyone. I'm RangerRob, and we also have Dale Wiley here. And this is the RangerRob Country Living Podcast. And want to welcome Dale to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Rob. That was a terrific intro and bump. I haven't seen that one. That's nice. Did good there.
I've got all kinds of little ones. Yeah, that's actually I had a song created for RangerRob.
Yeah, and, I like that.
And so, yeah, every once in a while I'll play it. Just but it gets old. It's like listening to Gilligan's Island 20 times.
Yeah, the video was great and all. No, it's great.
Yeah. So, you know how this goes at the beginning of the show. I'm always kind of posting some of our shows here, so you have to kind of bear with me. So before we get started, I want to tell everybody that we this is a regular podcast show, which is also syndicated on Central Oregon Radio, which is a 24/7 radio station, internet radio station, which you just go to centraloregonradio.com. You can find it there. And we're on several platforms. And also this podcast is on several platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff. Any information you want to know about links to this podcast, just go down in the description below. So, how you been?
I've been well. Probably better than you. You sound like you're on the recovery road.
Yeah. I just had one of those. I thought I had maybe. I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't have gone to the casino or something because I was kind of feeling like, and I think I just got a nasty cold. I guess we can still get those, right?
I guess they still call them that and everything else like that. I mean, casinos guaranteed to give you one.
And you have to forgive me, guys, when I'm starting the show out. I'm sharing the video out to certain platforms, especially Crooked River Ranch. So I tend to like to wait to do that when we're actually live. Because I do want to talk about Crooked River Ranch stuff before we start the main show. Give me one more thing here. I get Crooked River Ranch handled. We live in a place in Oregon called Crooked River Ranch. It's a very large area, and it was kind of converted from recreational property to residential property throughout the years. So we got quite a few people living on the ranch here, which we do have an HOA. And I know some people come out here and go, "You got an HOA?" And it's like, yeah. And in some cases, I'm glad we do. Especially when it comes to maintaining our roads, and when we have freezing temperatures and stuff, we'll maintain our roads for safety and things like that. And so there's a little thing, and when sometimes we have events on the property or on the ranch, and we also have a community center with a swimming pool, and we have a golf course here and stuff like that. So having the HOA and that kind of a relationship is nice if it's managed well. And so I've been here several times throughout the years. So is Dale. And so occasionally our board of directors, I think they get bored or something. They kind of sometimes, I think they go in with good intent, but over time, it just seems like they get kind of messed up. And so one of the things I noticed lately, as I'm still sharing videos, is and I got to get over to my comments too. And hi, Jack. How are you? Welcome to the show. If you are watching, by the way, and you'd like to say hello in the chats, feel free to say hello. We'd love to hear from you. And
Hi, Jack.
getting back to my subject on Crooked River Ranch, is we kind of have a dilemma going on right now, and it's a little concerning. And one of them is we actually had a rodeo here last year, wasn't it?
It was last June.
Yeah.
They held
And
a rodeo.
apparently,
Great little rodeo.
yeah, and apparently they want to do it again, that's good. But you got to ask yourself when you're in an HOA, and I don't care where you're at, you got to ask yourself, okay, I'm paying money into an HOA.
Mm-hmm.
The HOA is to help manage the area, to make sure everybody's conducting themselves in a reasonable way that makes the neighborhood consistent with one another. And if there's ordinances and things are not being followed, that they're enforced a little bit. And that's true with all HOAs. But that money that you spend into your HOA, that's where they are accountable to us of how they're using that money. And so here on Crooked River Ranch, we have the same concerns. Is like they want to run, like, for example, they want to run a rodeo, but some of the information coming out, we're not sure if this, and we question other events too, is when we have events and it's being paid for by our funds, is the residual income or the income coming in from that benefiting Crooked River Ranch or the organization? Where is that money going? If we're going to spend the money that we gave them, we need them to be accountable. So the problem, it seems like, was we're having a little trouble with accountability. And I think what's happening is not just on the ranch, but on several HOAs and stuff, is because of COVID, a lot of people fell into the Zoom meetings or the different kinds of online meetings. And so they went from that away from personal or public meetings. So it's pretty easy. And they're not inviting anybody to monitor their Zoom meetings and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to start kind of making decisions or going on your own road, you might say, when you're not accountable to the public. And if the public can't come in and also sit in on board meetings, or they can't sit on the director's meeting, just like in school boards, we should have accountability where the parents can come and listen to the discussions of decisions being made. It seems that we're losing that ability. Well, we haven't lost the ability. It's back, and we need to start going back to making things more public and being accountable to the people who are paying into the funds for the maintenance that we are asking for. And in many cases, it's very appropriate. And other cases is like, well, we need to ask ourselves, are you spending our money wisely? Are you spending it where, if we're having events and it's supposed to make income, is it at the benefit of Crooked River Ranch or the HOA that you belong to? And we have those same questions here. So I bring that up because it doesn't just affect Crooked River Ranch, but it affects anybody that's in any kind of HOA or school districts or whatever. We need to get our leaders to quit hiding behind this electronic wall of not having to be accountable to the public. And so I want to bring that up because it seems to me, as I've been watching some of these little posts coming in, that it's like, well, why don't we have citizens there during these discussions instead of arguments later from decisions they made without us there? So what do you think about that, Dale?
Well, you hit on a lot of topics there, Rob, and everything. And I mean, basically this kind of goes back to, yes, it is an HOA. Yes, there is a need for that type of governance in communities to some extent. That being said, this is not, what we would call a Black Beauty, Sun River, a real high dollar Vail, Aspen type of an HOA situation. It's kind of Joe Stick-Pack, blue collar working people out here and everything. They work hard for their money, and they want it to be spent properly. And I don't have a problem with some of the HOA dues. I have problems with the way some of it's spent and the processes that they've used to spend it. In an email exchange with one of the boards of directors here, about 3 days ago, he told me the First Amendment does not apply on HOAs, and that the HOA is not a form of government and everything. So, anybody that tells me the First Amendment doesn't apply, just stop it right there at that point in time. I don't care if it's an HOA. I don't care what it is. The First Amendment applies. And the fact that you're telling me it doesn't tells me you have a serious character flaw that I don't really want to interact with. And so then you come up, and you start hitting loggerheads with some of these people. And there's been documented, bad interactions between people. And I come out of an environment, excuse me, I was on the Tree Commission, the Public Safety Commission, Fire Department Budget Committee, School Department Budget Committee, a couple other commissions, a couple of those were elected positions. And with the public, and you're expected to be transparent. You're not expected to be hollering at people during meetings. You're expected to have good interactions with them and hopefully work towards some kind of a mutual situation. And what we've ran into in this situation, and I've been around this HOA for going on almost 6 years now, and everything, I really haven't, it's pretty dysfunctional and everything. And I mean, like it or not, I mean, it seems like the government is like somebody's social club here and everything else. And when I email a director, I expect an answer. And when I email the management of the HOA, I expect an answer. If you don't have the answer for me, just send me an email. Say, I'm looking on this and I'll get back to you. But blowing me off and not responding to me, that's not going to go well and everything, because I think I deserve that consideration of a response, at least, since I write my checks for the HOA and everything all the time. And, so in this situation we're talking about now, where this rodeo, it's a deal with a promoter. And basically in another email, the president of the board told me that this is not, I wanted a copy of the contract. He wouldn't give me a contract. Says, no, it's confidential. No, you accept the tax dollars from Jefferson County via the lodging tax, transient road tax, they call it. So there is public funds involved. So I am entitled to this. And, it's like, no, you're not. Okay, just keep telling me I'm not. Yeah, I am entitled to a copy of this, and I expect it. And I expect answers to these questions. And when I form my questions, they're not buried in some type of paragraph. They're numbered and they're highlighted in bold, because that's how I'm trying to get their attention. If it's convenient, they'll answer them. If it's convenient, they won't, and everything. And so I have this expectation that even though an HOA is a private organization, that the people that are governing this organization should observe the same type of parameters that you would in a public situation, because essentially you're a city council or you're a county commission or something like that, just on the private side. That does not absolve you of the responsibility to be transparent and be respectful and stop trying to cloud the issues here. And when people ask you questions, you respond to them, because if you don't, then we're going to go back and forth. And this is what I've seen, going back and forth with very few results. And it's just, it's the same old shit all over again. And we've got to make some progress to this thing. And so, that's kind of what I'm leading up to with my little project, the information that I sent you.
Yeah, while you were doing it, I was turning off my green screen so my picture will be better. I was noticing, it's like, oh, my green screen's on, because if people look at our old shows, my side always looks a little hazy. So hopefully I'll fix it. But, so this has definitely caught my attention too. And I also, we do have our media here with the RangerRob stuff and all that. It's like, so if things are going to get addressed, then maybe we need to assist it to be addressed. So here we are. And so I'm going to make it a point on this show to at least bring up some of our concerns in our HOA. And ours is a very large one compared to, like, if you lived in Mesa or something like that and you only have one neighborhood. But it should be stuff that not only we expect here, but you should expect at any HOA is accountability. And that's really what we're talking about here. So, but also the show we were going, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And, in the process of, putting on this rodeo and everything, there's been just a lot, this partnering with this promoter that's putting on this rodeo, the red flags abound. One half of the promoter, the promotion team, the rodeo promotion team, one of those people happens to be the HOA manager's brother-in-law. What a weird coincidence that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then, various business things that I've dealt with on a lot of different businesses, insurance coverages, revenue sharing. In this particular case, there is no revenue sharing for the Crooked River Ranch until the promoter has been in there 5 years. And then the promoter has to give the ranch a whole 3% of his gate revenue. So on a $30,000 rodeo, and then they're going to do more money than that. Our ranch would get $900. So just a lot of bad decisions have been made. And therefore, and I'll just go ahead and throw it out here now, because stuff is all going to be published here shortly. I've taken the steps to form a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation called Crooked River Ranch Property Owners Association that will serve to band property owners together in pursuit of just good business practices and being able to relate and have interactions and eliminate the negativity and some of the crazy stuff that I've seen go on. We've got to treat each other with respect and set some common goals here. And they've been able to keep this thing in such a constant state of turmoil that everybody's just worried about the problem of the week, and the other stuff is just going away and getting ignored. Much like our national political situation is, nowadays. So, yeah, there you go. You can see there, that's the flyer that I put up, or will be put up. This is its first internet appearance right here and everything. And so basically we're trying to set up an exploratory meeting sometime next week. We need a location. We'll work that one out. We'll figure something out. The Crooked River Ranch Property Owners Association, that's a DBA underneath the state of Oregon. It will be converted into a mutual benefit nonprofit corporation, because if you want to interact with another association, you got to have equal status with them. And basically everybody's tried to say things and do things. It's happened on social media here and there. Nobody's ever really banded together in a legal structure. And when this group, I hopefully gets going and we have 30 to 50, maybe more members than that, it'd be great. And everything. And when we ask the HOA questions as a group like that, we fully expect, those questions to be answered and there not to be any, personality major clashes, because it simply isn't necessary. I mean, there's no reason for either side to call anybody names or make any kind of insinuation like that, because it just goes nowhere. It becomes a perpetuation of that adversarial relationship. No business gets done in the process.
Agreed. I'm pushing buttons like crazy over here.
Yeah.
All righty. So, yeah, we don't get a chance to put too many things up on the screen there, but yeah, I know this is kind of the early portion of what you're trying to do there. But what I'm impressed about is the fact that it's taking a stand, and doing it in a professional manner. And that's really what protesting I can't even really say it's a protest, as it is a communication tool to an organization that needs to hear from its residents a little better. And so
has in reality failed to listen to them and everything. You've had all this turmoil going on all the time and everything. I've got a pretty thick skin. If you want to call me an a-hole and an idiot and everything else, I mean, have at it. It doesn't, believe me, I've been called worse than that and everything. It's not going to bother me, And I'm going to redirect you back to the issues and everything else that we're trying to talk about and solve here and everything. That's been a problem up until this point of time. Individuals could be discounted for whatever reason. But, if we band together and we get a bunch of people here, they're going to have to listen to us. And in reality, what you're saying is this is this old man's contribution to taking this country back. It's as close to me as I can get. This is extremely low-hanging fruit and everything for me. And it's right. This stuff's right up my wheelhouse, what I did in my career and everything else. I don't want to be involved, full time. I want to form a team of people so that we can all work together and get the skills in here that we need and everything, because I'm getting in my trailer sometime in June. I'm going to be gone 73 days or more over this summer. And I could, so we got to get this thing going. And that's basically, kind of what it comes down to is this is the best possible way that I can, that I can get the word out to people. And I did a solo flag wave actually Sunday on Highway 97. That's, I don't watch football or any stuff like that. And so I just went down there and stood with my flag. That's another whole nother story. That's pretty interesting type of a deal and all. But yeah, we're just seeking good, respectful interactions and a problem solving approach instead of, just a bunch of monkeys throwing dirt and stuff at each other on this thing. It's just going nowhere that way.
I hear they throw other things at each other too.
Oh God, it's hilarious,
So the other thing, I didn't mean to take you off the screen there. So the other thing I was going to let people know is we actually created, and Dale was nice enough to create an agenda for us. And so we started. I thought that is a great idea. I'm so glad you did that. So today we also wanted to make sure that we talked about what we can do about some of our own self-reliance. So to start this particular agenda off, before we're almost a half hour into the show already, all we've been doing is ranting about Crooked River Ranch.
Yeah.
And so one of the things in our agenda here is, how do you determine your level of preparedness? And what's your first comments on that? Dale?
Well, that's a real simple question right there. Can you live 3 weeks in your house and not have to go to town for anything? Yes or no?
Me? Yes.
Okay. Me too.
Most people.
Okay. There you go. It's a real wake up litmus test. That's all you got to ask people, is can you survive for 2 to 3 weeks with the food and stuff you have in your house? And we're going to assume that the grid doesn't go down, that we're going to have intact electrical and water, because if that goes down, then we're in a hell of a mess then and everything. So assuming you have an intact grid, electrical and water service, can you live 3 weeks? Okay, I can live a year probably right now easily and everything. And so, no matter what people are doing, if you've done nothing at this point in time up into prepping, get out there and get 3 weeks worth of supplies laid into your house because the inflation is ridiculous. You're starting to see more shortages and everything. I don't go to too many stores, so I have to specifically go to them to look for that type of a thing. But you've got to have this stuff in there for your family and everything else, because we don't know what's going to happen. This craziness in the stock market and the insanity that brings with it. So you better be prepared. And then when you get 3 months worth or 3 weeks worth of stuff, get a month, get a month and a half, get 3 months. Okay. You'll start feeling a whole lot better with yourself at that time. And to be frank with you, be prepared to defend it.
Yeah. And here's a funny thing is like, okay. And John from Backyard Politics is reminding us that the U.S. truckers may have a convoy protest on the 23rd. And so what I'm seeing reports on up in Canada is because they really went to the extreme, and
that's martial law.
Actually, they're having problems with their banks up there, and they're actually even talking about bank runs, and almost all their major banks up there shut down for some reason. They don't really know why, because part of this emergency thing that Trudeau did is has power over people's bank accounts.
You know what we
Now,
call that? You know what we call that, Rob? We call that national,
bullshit.
yeah, well, yeah, we call that nationalization of the banking and financial system. That's what we do.
Yes.
Check that shit out. That's what Venezuela did right before they had
So
hyperinflation.
the whole point on that is like, so let's say we have a cyber attack. Let's say we have a power grid problem. Let's say we have our truckers cause the same problem and our government decides to go martial nuts on us and decides that they're going to try to control bank accounts and stuff. And the point is, if you go to your bank and can't get money out of an ATM or your debit card does not work for, let's say they shut it off for a week because they're trying to get things under control, could you survive? So if you don't have any preps, if you don't have anything in your refrigerator or in your pantry or whatever, and you don't have access to money, you can't eat out, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't do anything, how would you do? Are you prepared for that? And that's not saying we're having we're at war. We're not saying that we're having apocalypse or we're having a big meteor hit us. We're just saying natural things, which in Canada, who would have known that they were going to have financial problems starting yesterday? And we don't really know the cause, nor will they probably tell us. But at the same time, they're our next door neighbors. They're the closest thing to having the same kind of government we have. And they thought they had all this freedom. And suddenly it's been shut off in 24 hours. Boom, their freedoms are gone. And so could that happen to us? And if it did, once again, getting back to your agenda, are you prepared for a week, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months? Could you do it? So
well,
it's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people right now are saying, when HFT, when the shit hits the fan, when it does. No, it's already hit the fan. Okay,
Yeah.
It's already, we are clearly in a level 1 HTF situation right now with the increased pressures on the economy, the food shortages, and a move on these deals. Now, you hear different stuff from the media, and I do my research. Food is up 12%. Energy, this is for a month and everything. Energy is up 28%. The wholesale price producer index is up 1% for a month, and the producer price index is up 0.9. These are annualized rates of over 13%. So your dollars are not going very far. And the point Rob made about the banks locking up your money and everything else like that, that's complete. I can see that happening. There is so much corruption in the financial system in this country right now. I mean, the stock market indicates that. One of the great jab companies, Moderna, lost $140 billion in market value after their CEO and a bunch of other people sold the stock off like it was, a bad cold or something. I mean, it was $140 billion of market loss in one company. Should have destroyed the stock market. What did it do? It went up like 300 points or something like that. I mean, it was insane.
There's something seriously wrong with our stock market.
It's a mess and everything. And so, depending on your situation, and I realize there's a lot of people that, may not have access to the funds that they need or this or that, or whatever you have to do, right now, you need to do. Okay. And, I'm not a financial advisor, but if I've got a 401k sitting there and I can get myself prepped and everything else with some of that money, it's going to be worth every dime to pull it out and pay the tax on it and everything else and get yourself in a little better situation. So no matter what you can do, that kind of money, you need to stop buying coffee drinks. You need to stop, spending all this money foolishly that people are doing, and get yourself prepped, because, it's the crazy thing is you can't imagine what's going to happen next. This is just, I mean, if we could sit around and go, what's the craziest thing that could happen? And then, today, you notice, the stock market was down close 622, took a hell of a beating today and everything. Yeah. And for the first 40 minutes after the market closed, and everything. Oh, it's because Ukraine and Russia, No, what a crock of shit. That had nothing to do with it. It was the Federal Reserve printing money and pumping dollars into the economy so that 622 didn't become 1622 like it would have if they'd have not pumped a bunch of paper debt dollars into there. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I still got to tell people that, assets is the way to go. So if you can buy silver or gold, either one, I mean, real, not paper silver or gold, real stuff, buy yourself maybe 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 10 ounces a month, and make that regular budget. And because no matter where you're at, no matter what country you're in, no matter what the situation is, those things will always have a value. Now, if you're paying $30 an ounce for silver, maybe you can only get $15 worth of something in another country or more. But the fact is, it's always going to be valuable. It's always a tangible thing. But our paper money, it could be wiped out in days and be absolutely useless to us. But your silver and your gold, always going to be worth something. Not to mention, if you're a prepper and you got food, you got cigarettes, you got alcohol, you got any of that kind of stuff that people are going to want it, you got some big value right there. So maybe you ought to start looking at food preparation as an investment.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I mean, the commonly held, stuff that you can hold in your hand, the gold and the silver, and some people are a little bit hesitant to do that because, it hasn't really been easy to exchange gold and silver and stuff like that. It's been more of an investment type of a hedge and everything. But, I look at this thing and I just go out and if I buy more preps, I mean, I'm going to use it. I'm going to trade it or something like that, and it's like you said, if you like, you can grow produce and everything else. Okay. I mean,
you want to know how to get rich during really bad times? Buy cartons of cigarettes, even if you don't smoke.
Cartons of cigarettes and everything.
People will trade you that stuff for amazing things. That and booze.
I mean, anybody here in Oregon, we can grow weed. I mean, you don't have to use it or anything else, but it's worth $1,000 an ounce. Okay. Like that. Any way you look at it, trading material, cash, or whatever. I mean, kind of illegal to do that and everything. I mean, you can trade pretty much anything you want, but it's just like, any of these other things. And, and I've looked at this thing, and, I got out of the stock market back in December, and I'm really glad I did. And I've had this money kind of sitting around and everything. It's just sitting there in a cash account. Well, a couple of days ago, the guy that runs the brokerage that I have it at, he calls me up and goes, "You got to get back into the market, man." He says, "You just got to get back into it." And I go, "Oh, that's right. You're not making a commission because mine's sitting there in a cash account." I get it. And, he sends me over a couple of these things and everything else. He says, "You want to put something into that?" And I go, I don't do anything like that without sitting on it for 24 hours. And the wife and I talking about it and everything. I says, "Well, let's see what happens." The next day, the market drops 500 points. I would have been hosed big time on this thing. And so, he didn't call me and I didn't call him, obviously. The market tanks another 300 the next day, and I felt like, I says, it was kind of a nonverbal thing. Do you get this, I'm not going to listen to you type of thing? You're making money off me and you're telling me to buy. And there's people on the internet and on YouTube, and I pay these people money. I pay their Patreon fees for each month and everything to listen to them. And they're saying, get out, secure your money, buy things like that. So I've got some of this money sitting here, and it pains my stock guy. He says, "Yeah, you could get into this fund, put this much into it." And I says, I could go buy me a little mini excavator for that same amount of money right now. And I could use it a little bit around here, and then I could sit here and not lose a dime's worth of value over the next 5 years, considering the inflation we're going into. So I'm probably headed to the, if I can find one.
I think John from Backyard Politics is on to something here. Hookers. That's
No,
the way.
oh yeah, no,
Look-
liquor, blow, weed, all those whores, that's the vice,
and chicken
sin stuff like
chickens and hydroponics too.
yeah. I like the other stuff.
John actually had a really good show last week. He had a trucker on his show last week, and he was so interesting to listen to. And I had to laugh because that trucker, truckers are pretty tough guys, and I don't usually see John being quite as humble on his shows as much as that trucker was, because when they got off a tangent and that trucker didn't like it, he put John right in his place. It was hilarious. It's like, oh, I didn't mean that, but that trucker, man, those guys are tough.
Well, they've had their chain yanked 6 different ways. Okay, I did a little bit of over the road trucking, and then I did a lot of local stuff in my own commercial trucks. It's a hell of a way to make a living. It's no fun. You work your ass off for very little money, and and you have to weigh 300 pounds and smoke cigarettes, it seems like. To be into that thing. And so those guys are earning every dime, that they made and everything. And the government stood in front of them every possible way. It'll be extremely interesting to see what develops. I see John was talking about that trucker convoy coming up there and everything else, because I've been kind of like, do the American truckers have any balls? Are they going to let the Canadians do this to them? Or the Canadians have been showing them, how to handle this thing. And the Canadians aren't exactly known for going out and kicking a whole lot of ass unless there's something, really bugging them. So I gotta hand it to them that, it'd be great to see that, and there again, I wish I still had my commercial trucks, because I'd get in and I'd go and everything. But, now I'm just a 64-year-old guy who's going to fight the HOA here locally is my contribution to this whole thing.
John had the nerve to tell this guy, trucker goes, what is it when you're going up a pass and the truck tries to pass another truck and it takes 20 minutes to do it, and you're stuck behind those 2 trucks, and a guy just laid into him? It's like, John's like, what? It's like I was behind these guys for like 20 minutes trying to get over a pass while they're trying to pass each other. And the guy's trying to talk about his governors and how they keep their RPMs up and stuff like that, and really plowed into John. It was like, wow. And,
they get pretty sensitive. I had that exact same thing happen to us up on Cow Canyon up there about 197 or so, and I got sandwiched in between these 2 guys. And I like, God, get out of the situation where I was surrounded by truckers, or Explorer, and I'm like, well, this is going to be interesting. This had video running out the front and the back and everything. It was like, if this all goes sideways, somebody's going to have some good video. 20 miles to pass another truck. See, John, what you got to do, go down and buy yourself a CB mount, a little magnetic mount antenna on there, plug it into your cigarette lighter, and you get on there and figure out what channel these guys are on, 17, 19, and you get up there and you go, driver, get the F out of my way, and then that'll either make him completely insane or anything. But, I do that all the time.
You say that the truckers don't really use their CBs as much as they used to.
A lot of them are using marine band and stuff like that and everything. And I had a couple of those in my old trucks and everything. I don't worry too much about it in mine now, because I'm a ham radio operator, and those are actually real radios that transmit and have range and work well.
Yeah.
Not like, the Citizen band are great for truckers and a bunch of drunk rednecks in the South.
John's realizing, oh, Rob does watch my shows once in a while. So, darn right. So getting back to our agenda real quick, because we're talking about preparedness, and then basically, are you ready, or what's the subject? What can you do now? One of the things we did talk about is have cash on hand.
Yep.
And so I want to verify to the people that I do keep over $2,000 in cash, and I keep building onto that in our household, in a tin can under a big rock with a grenade under it. So don't try to take it from me. I just like, okay, I think it should be more. I'd like to see 3, 4, maybe $5,000 in there. But every once in a while, I get these little projects going on, and I go, well, maybe I'll go tap into that. But we always keep at least 2,000 or better.
A good rule of thumb
cash.
there would be is to keep 2 months worth of your living expenses in cash around just to have that. So I mean, if the cards do go down and you can't get money out of your bank, you got 2 months worth of living expenses or something like that. I keep a little more than that and everything, just because that's kind of the way I am. I don't like banks right now. I'm mistrustful of banks, the government, and everything else like that. And so, I'm not really too worried about it from a security aspect. I mean, I'm trained. I have many layers of security on my property and everything like that. And it's just like I'd rather worry about it that way, because if this does come and happen, like, it's going to be a lot of people out there that aren't going to have any money. They're going to be coming up to your door, needing help or food or something like that. And you got to help them out. But, just the fact that no matter what it takes, and it kind of goes back to, a lot of stuff that's going on, with our school districts. A lot of parents get on Twitter and all these other platforms, and they complain that their kids have been masked and do this and do that, and how bad this is for the kids. And you look at them and I go, well, you're still sending your kids to the school, so it can't be that bad then for you, right?
Yeah.
And everything. I says, because, quite frankly, I don't want to hear your stories about daycare and everything else. I mean, if that was happening to my kids and everything, I don't care what it took. My wife, one of us would have quit our job. We'd have figured something out and got our kids out of that toxic environment where they're being indoctrinated into this stuff on a daily basis. And it's not going to get any better for a long. I'm going off on a rant here and everything about
you
this.
are.
The school system needs to be completely dismantled. They need to look at removing some of the toxic personalities that are teaching our kids and get back to building a curriculum. But it's going to take 10 years, so it's too bad. I feel bad for the parents and the kids in this situation. And I've got grandkids in these school districts. I got 8 grandkids, 6 of them are in school and everything. So I'm very familiar with what's going on.
Yeah. My, actually both of my kids now have their, my daughter quit her job to stay home now, and they make good money, really good money. And then my son's wife stays home and, homeschools their children. And so I was like, I didn't really pay attention that much till lately. I'm going, damn, good for them. I mean, for my son, it's a little tougher. It's making times tough, and puts a lot of stress on him, trying to make sure that they're making enough for their household. Where my daughter, her husband makes a very nice income, and she did too, and they were living high in a hog, but they really just realized that someone needs to stay home with the kid, and they got a 9-year-old. And so what I've noticed, and I've actually mentioned it in some of my videos recently, is I'm starting to see more people going, you know what, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, we got to change the way we live, but one of us needs to stay home and homeschool our kids because this is ridiculous. So maybe we can't buy a new car anymore. Maybe we should downsize in the housing we're doing or whatever. But they're making that, the ones that are really on top of what's going on are making sacrifices for the family structure. And that's amazing to see, because that's really what's gone to crap around here is our schools or government, they don't give a crap about the family structure anymore. They'd rather just see broken families and I could get ranting really, really bad on that. But I was going to say, our reveler, he was saying, wow, so far we've taught people how to buy gold, chickens, and hookers.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good our show is.
That is an awesome idea. I think that's awesome. That's a business model right there. Somebody can build a brand on that one.
That's right. Yeah. So let's see, 5 major banks in Canada went down. Yes, we mentioned that earlier. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring that subject up as he did once again is who would have known, at least yesterday is when that started happening in Canada. What if you go to your ATM? What if you try to use your debit card and it does not work? Do you have backup cash? Do you have backup assets? Can you go a week without income or going to the grocery store because your bank is shut down? So that's really what is my concern, is why we should have backup cash. And
There's a little
before I
number
forget,
floating
go
out
ahead.
around a little number floating out around a little bit, and you can take it for what it's worth. And I've heard this several different sources. 60% of this country does not have $1,000 in either in liquid cash in a bank or something else like that. I mean, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Our economy is getting destroyed and everything. You've really got to do some extraordinary things and everything to get around this stuff, And I mean, exactly what you mentioned. One parent has to figure it out. If you got to sell that $80,000 truck, if you got to do this, you got to do that. I mean, going back 34 years ago, I was a 32-year-old single guy with 3 kids and everything else. And my wife, Diane, and I got together about that time frame and everything. Times were not good. I mean, it was just, she had 2, I had 3, we put 5 together and everything like that. We had to take care of them. She had good insurance for us and everything else like that. But, I had ex-wife and money and stuff going out like that. And it was just like, I mean, I'm driving a 1983 Mercury station wagon with a 6-cylinder and automatic, and it was yellow of all things. I drove that car for a year and a half because I paid like $1,300 for it. It was in awesome mechanical condition and everything. And it was just, things like that. And it's just like, whatever it takes, you've got to do this, because there's no way. And I was a big school supporter and everything else. There's no way I'm letting my kids get treated that way and indoctrinated like that. If this is what we got to do, and right now, if my kids were in there, I'd say, none of you is going to college. You're going to trade school, go in the military, something like that. And I get the hell out of the colleges. There's nothing there for you. It's just going to put you $100,000 in debt, and you're going to get a degree in indigenous basket weaving or something like that. Doesn't translate into anything. And figure it out, because I mean, there's welders. A friend of mine, his son's, I don't know, he's 25, 20, he makes $150,000 a year as a welder.
I know. It's amazing. Yeah, it's just like when I have work done here on the ranch and I have an electrician come in or a plumber, and they're making $175 an hour from me.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, why aren't you in that business? Why aren't you learning that skill? My gosh, because where I got pulled into an aerospace company and went to school in electronics and fiber optics. And throughout my life, during layoffs and stuff like that, I started businesses and stuff like that. And when I had to fall back on my skills, I was always able to fall back on those skills to get myself, like, if I had a business and I didn't go through or something and I decided to go back to aerospace, it was never a problem. I was always employed. And it's like, I couldn't have done that with a business degree. I couldn't have done that with a science degree, but I could certainly do it with knowing electronics, knowing fiber optics, knowing how to weld, pneumatic programming, any of that kind of stuff. My gosh, man, you would be employed all your life. You'll never be unemployed in any country.
No, and I was in a similar situation. I says, I ain't afraid of losing a job, because all I got to do is go pick up my tool belt and go to the first job site I see, and I've got a job. And if I don't like it, I'll find a better one down the road. At those age, I was a trained heavy equipment operator, running huge dozers and cats and excavators and build, and my background was in agricultural engineering and a lot of the job training, and it's like I could, and I did. I started my own business a couple of different times and everything else like that. And I did go back to night school, and I actually had to go to the school at night. I had to get my car and drive 20 miles to PCC Rock Creek out west of Portland and actually attend the class. I didn't get to sit in on online thing and get a cereal box diploma.
You didn't walk uphill in the snow every day.
No, I couldn't.
On the way there and on the way back.
And on the way back, yeah, it was uphill both ways and
Yeah.
everything, But anyway, so I went back, and it was a 2-year associate's degree in business administration that worked real well with my training in, agricultural engineering, which was, building dams and, different stuff like that, agricultural water systems and everything else. So once I combined those two, then it was just kind of like, the sky's the limit and everything else. And I ended up, buying commercial trucks and having, landscape construction, excavation, golf course building business. So everything I was done with my hands. Took me, about when I was about 36, I got out of the hands-on stuff of it because I was beating my body up pretty good. But, that's why you get smarter on stuff like that.
When you get a little older.
Oh, God, and everything. But I mean, so yeah, you've always got something, in my family, I've got a journeyman plumber, and the other one's, he's an inspector for the water department here in Redmond right now. 2 of my other kids that live over in the valley, and both are leaving the corporate world and everything, and for Nike and Intel and everything. So, they make pretty good money, but that life and that culture simply is not compatible with their lifestyle anymore. And they're in a situation, a couple of the kids just dug their heels in, says, I'm not going back to that school. Okay. And they end up homeschooling, really proud of them doing that, because it's just like, I really fear for this generation that's having this stuff rammed down their throats in school right now, because, well, I mean, coming back through Madras the other day, and had to stop at a place on the north end of Madras. It was about time school was letting out and everything. Virtually every high school kid on the street outside was wearing a mask. Now, maybe this was a style thing or something like that, but in my frame of reference, I've got I got 2 grandsons, they're 13 and everything else. They tell me what's going on, in all this, and they go, no, these kids are all just, they're afraid to keep their mask on because they can vape underneath their mask in class and everything, and it doesn't blow. Yeah, and I thought, wow, that's brilliant, And I mean, I thought I was smart trying to smoke a cigarette in the welding booth in high school. I thought, I got caught doing that a few times.
We used to smoke in the bathrooms at the high school.
Oh yeah, well,
like nobody's gonna know.
Yeah, my high school out at the end of the hallway, they called it Stoner's Row and everything, because, and back, this is, 74, 75. I got out of school in 75, high school, 75. You had to run this gauntlet because the guys are out there smoking dope and cigarettes and everything else. I mean, it's a great time.
Well, we actually had a smoking area in our high school.
Oh yeah. No, there was, I had that at one of the community colleges I went to, and so the whole thing was just like weird. Why do these kids have masks on, And I don't know, it's a different, my kids are around, some more, I don't know, earthy or grounded kids, agriculture types and everything. They haven't done this mask. And plus the fact I told both my grandsons, I says, I give you $20 for every referral you get to the school office for not wearing a mask and everything. Oh yeah, I know. Moms were pissed at me. They were pissed and everything. But I mean, it cost me, I don't know, it cost me $120 before both the moms made me stop doing it. And
oh my gosh. So before we go much farther on our agenda here, I also want to make sure we talk about for preparedness and realizing you need to get prepared and maybe even make it go farther is one of the statements in here is this is a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. It is without
you have to live the way you talk is what you're saying here is. And by the way, my screen is really far away, so I'm squinting to read this. It's like what? Anyway,
well,
I could switch the screen, but anyway, but lifestyle. One of and you made our agenda and stuff, but I can't tell you enough that I don't realize I'm doing it anymore. Now, when you're first starting, everything's it's all an effort. But now when Sherry and I go to the store and we see like, oh, there's a case of beans and it's on sale. And it's like, and then it's just like, well, how's our stock? And it's like, well, it's a little low. Let's get one. And we don't even think about it anymore. And little things we do around the house or when we can reuse lumber or all these little things are little lifestyle changes. And once you start doing them on a regular basis, it just feels like part of your life. It's not like an effort anymore. And that's what I want to let you go ahead and take that subject a little farther.
Yeah, this is not something you can just flip on and off, you know what I mean? That silly prepper show that was on cable TV a few years back is a pathetic thing and everything else. It's just like, I'm going to be a prepper. Okay, I've been a prepper for quite a while, and I thought I was reasonably well prepped, and something triggered and got me looking here about 6 months ago, and I really got down back into my nerdy spreadsheet analysis of things and go, no, I am nowhere near as ready. And we set out at that point in time and basically, don't go out to eat that much or do anything like that, and just built our preps up like that. And then you get into this thing and it's like, I got 3 weeks. Well, 3 weeks ain't going to do me. And he goes, what if the grid goes down? Now, I need generators and fuels and stuff like this, and so there's a lot of good resources out there right now and everything for this. And it's just not like you can build up these things and just say, okay, I'm done prepping. No, it's just like you said. I mean, we rotate our stocks and everything else like that. Chicken was $2.19 a pound at Safeway the other day, baby. 40 pounds went home with us, and the guy's looking at us, and I'm like, I don't care what you think. I mean, I'm putting this stuff in the freezer, and you offset that with, stuff that's you wouldn't lose if the grid went down or something, canned meats and different things like that, that you can do that. But it is definitely a lifestyle. And after you're at it for a while, I mean, you could take the defensive side of things here. I'm pretty good with where I'm at right now. But if the opportunity comes to augment my supplies in any manner that I need, I will do it. In the same, with food and everything else. Because you live it, and you're going to have to utilize this stuff at some point in time. And it's better to have it than not. I just can't imagine being in a situation, particularly with a family or something like that, where I need, and if I can't go to the store in 2 or 3 days, my kids are going to be hungry. And that's unacceptable. You have to completely tailor your life around that. And it's a big thing. It's huge. You better be a student of this thing. You better be reading some stuff. You better be watching a lot of YouTube videos. Learn how to sort out the crap from the good stuff and everything. But I mean, you'll feel a lot better about yourself. And preparedness is not only, putting together, food and supplies and everything else. It's putting together your game plan and your knowledge on this thing. It's being financially prepared, getting out of debt, staying out of debt, and being in those situations. And it just makes you feel a lot better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I only have about less than 2 minutes left. But also, I don't want to talk too much about it because the subject is not one of YouTube's favorites. But being willing to defend it too is also important. Yeah. And don't think that Dale and I don't keep that in mind. We do have defense here, and we do have security here, and we've got some of those tools that people go, yeah, baby. Yeah. We don't talk about it that much on this show because YouTube they kind of freak out a little bit when you talk about that particular subject. So we don't talk about it that much, but realize you do need to also consider, can you defend what you have? And we'll leave it at that part. So, and we are getting to the end. And I got to make sure I don't go with the 1 hour mark. So I want to, first of all, thank everybody that's been commenting in the comments. I want to thank Dale for being here today. Next week, we're going to be talking about what's the current greatest threats going on. And that subject could change in a week.
It could change 3 times.
I know. So anyway, next week we'll be talking about current greatest threats. And so be ready for that conversation next week. And I want to thank Dale, by the way, for putting our agenda together. It really needed to be done because I got too many coals in the fire.
If I don't put it on paper, it goes away.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Please take the time to like, share, and send our videos out. The best thing you can do to help us is share our video. We'd really appreciate it. So guys, take care. Have a great day, and we'll see everybody next week.
Great. Thanks, y'all.
Bye now. Well, actually, I can't say bye now because I don't have my screen up. So give me 3 seconds and then I can say bye now. Bye now. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.